If you are confused over what are ministers in the Prime Minister's office, what are acting ministers, what are ministers of state, and what are parliamentary secretary, watch on so you'll sound smarter when PM Wong announce the next cabinet reshuffle. So. Anyways, for a start, what the heck is the minister in the PMO? You might think this means the person is Prime Minister Lawrence Wong's personal assistant. No lah. A minister in the Prime Minister's office is a full minister and a member of the cabinet. However, instead of being known mainly as the head of one standalone ministry, the minister is based in the PMO and may be given responsibilities that cut across different ministries or do not fit neatly into one ministry or something that is new. The exact job depends on what the Prime Minister assigns to that minister. For example, Indranee Rajah is the minister in the Prime Minister's office. She is also second minister for finance, second minister for national development, and leader of the house. And I guess by now, you should know that she did a lot of things. As you know, Lim Chee Meng is now a minister in the PMO, and his appointment is slightly different. He is the Secretary General of NTUC. PM Wong said jobs and workforce transformation have become much more important as Singapore deals with economic uncertainty, artificial intelligence, and changes in the workplace. By appointing Mr. Ng as a minister in the PMO, the Labour Chief will have a place in the cabinet and can bring workers' concerns directly into national discussions about employment, skills, and economic policy. You see, the NTUC Secretary General traditionally held a cabinet appointment as a minister in the PMO, beginning with Lim Chee Onn in 1980. Mr. Ng's appointment from 27 July will end a 6-year period without the NTUC Secretary General sitting in cabinet. Therefore, minister in the PMO is not one fixed job description. Think of the PMO as the place for important national assignments that may involve several ministries, parliament, the labour movement, or other whole-of-government responsibilities. Basically, it's the ultimate other duties as a side job, which means some Gen Z slightly stop reading the job advertisement the moment they reach that sentence. That time I asked a Gen Z intern to help me cut my nails. Why she quit after that? Now, what is an acting minister then? When people hear acting, they may think the person is only temporarily covering the job because the real minister is overseas or medical leave. That can happen when someone is described as acting for another office holder for a short period. That is wrong lah. You see, an acting minister is formally placed in charge of a ministry and carries out ministerial responsibilities but has not yet been confirmed or promoted to the rank of full minister. In simple terms, the person is already doing the minister's job, but the acting title indicates that he or she is being assessed or developed for the full appointment. And this one is no I say one. In the CNA discussion about the 2025 cabinet, one political observer described an acting minister as effectively a full minister who is being placed on probation. There is not an official legal definition, but it is a useful way to understand the arrangement. For example, after the 2025 general elections, first-term MPs Jeffrey Siew and David Neo were appointed acting minister for transport and acting minister for culture, committee, and youth respectively. And after slightly more than 1 year in those roles, PM Wong announced that both men will be promoted to full ministers in July 2026. As you know, Jasmine Lau will now go through a similar process as acting minister for manpower. She was first appointed Minister of State for Education and Digital Development and Information in 2025. Under the latest changes, she will be promoted to Senior Minister of State for MDDI while concurrently taking charge of the Manpower Ministry as its acting minister. So, what is a Minister of State then? If you are looking to advertise your business in this channel, we can help you. There are guaranteed views and many big brands have trusted us. Just click on the link in the description. A Minister of State is a junior political office holder who supports the minister or ministers leading a ministry. So yeah, basically, they can be called junior ministers. And if you have noticed, they may also be appointed to 2 ministries at the same time so that they gain experience in different policy areas. Minister of States regularly represent their ministries during parliamentary debates and public engagements. Above Minister of State is Senior Minister of State. A Senior Minister of State generally has more experience and responsibilities, but still support the full minister heading the ministry. Kind of like your friend who is a marketing executive and is promoted to a senior marketing executive lah. And speaking of promotion, political office holders also go through a ladder. You see, there's no compulsory promotion ladder, but a typical politician office holder progression ladders look something like this. A person may begin as a parliamentary secretary, then as a senior parliamentary secretary. After that, the person can be promoted to a minister of state, then as a senior minister of state. After that, the person may become an acting minister or a full minister. However, not everyone starts as a parliamentary secretary. Some are appointed directly as minister of states, like PM Wong, who started out as a minister of state for defense and minister of state for education. It was after about 1.5 years that he was promoted to an acting minister. A small number of new MPs with extensive experience have entered the government as acting ministers or full ministers. For example, David Neo. He entered cabinet immediately as an acting minister. And it's not because
He goes to bed and every morning when he wakes up, he becomes an acting minister. But he never makes the mistake of thinking that he is an acting minister because he woke up.
but because of his experience. Now, before anything, just note that previously, I said a political office holder can start as a parliamentary secretary. Note that this is different from permanent secretary. They are completely different, as a parliamentary secretary is an MP appointed to political office, while the permanent secretary is normally the ministry's most senior civil servant. They just sound the same, but have different responsibilities. So just remember this, parliamentary secretary equals politician, and permanent secretary equals top civil servant. There are a few other ministers that you might be confused. What is a coordinating minister? A coordinating minister goes across several ministries because some national issues are too huge to fit into one box. For example, national security does not involve only the Ministry of Home Affairs. It can involve defense, foreign affairs, cybersecurity, immigration, intelligence, infrastructure, and other agencies. Coordinating ministers oversee these wider areas and help ensure that the policies of different ministries do not overlap, contradict one another, or move in completely different directions. Also, sometimes you see second minister. What is that? A second minister is a full minister appointed to help oversee a ministry that already has another minister leading it. A second minister may handle particular parts of a huge ministry or provide additional senior leadership. The person is still a full minister, even though someone else is the main minister heading that ministry. There are also ministers in charge of particular issues. These portfolios may not have their own separate ministry. Examples are like the ministry in charge of Muslim affairs, the ministry in charge of the public service, and others. Now, speaking of elected politicians, we have once spoken to one who's going to be a minister of state during the reshuffle and even made fun of his hair. Watch this to know how he responded. Also, if you want to advertise with us, even as a standalone video, do contact us. Our website is in the description, or you can scan this QR code. Thank you for spending almost 7 minutes with me. I really appreciate it and hope you learned something.